Hey, we're Saints. Father Chris here, Deacon Greg with you. Welcome to our crucifixional live stream. Glad to have all of you beautiful people with us. And when I say glad, as we're in this season of Thanksgiving, we are glad to have all of you with us. Glad to have you too.
I'm glad to be here. This is great.
Yeah. You know, it is an epidemic out there that everyone is pretty negative. I don't know. I mean, if you ever go to Reddit for 5 seconds. You'll see. I mean, don't go to Reddit. I'm just saying.
I actively avoid Reddit.
I mean, seriously. So you can see there's negativity all over the place. People are angry. There's a lot of reasons for it, and we're probably not going to spend too much time dealing with that kind of stuff. But we're going to flip it because we want to talk about the opposite of anger and ingratitude and all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about having a gratitude attitude.
Yeah.
We got to be grateful, man.
We got to be grateful.
I mean, forget the fact that we don't live like in Gaza, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or Nigeria. God bless those people and help them all. You know what I mean? Like, so that we should be grateful for. But I even in my book that I wrote years ago, I even included a chapter that I called the gratitude attitude because I think it's, essential. True leaders are definitely, they're able to look deliberately, I would say, we'll get into that, for a perspective of gratitude. It's a lens that they deliberately choose to put in front of their faces as opposed to defaulting into the negativity.
It's a beautiful thing, but it's a complete shift.
Yeah.
And it takes a complete mental shift, as you put it. It's deliberate. It has to be. And I was actually struck this week. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving. We had our veterans, first responders Bible study that we do here at the parish. And hearing that group in particular with the things that they've seen in their lives and stuff that they've been through to talk about Thanksgiving and gratitude, understanding that, often the holidays drudge stuff up. They make things uncomfortable. They make people, as much as we're talking about Thanksgiving on the holiday of Thanksgiving, and other people struggle. Holidays can be rough. You've got family there, but you remember family that's not there and all of those kinds of things. Right. You have to be deliberate. Mm-hmm. And they talked about that the other night. It was really beautiful hearing them talk about it, which we'll get to later.
All right. Great. I love that. Great group too. It's a season of gratitude, right? Like, I mean, we're supposed to be, when we're filming this, it's like, right at Thanksgiving and therefore the Thanksgiving / en route to Christmas holidays.
Yeah.
Which is, known as a season of gratitude. What happens when you don't feel like it? Like, I mean, there are times when I don't feel grateful or don't want to feel grateful.
Well, that's where you have to have that new lens. That's where you got to put on the new glasses. That's where you got to shift it. It's really flipping the script and being deliberate about, I'm going to be grateful today. I'm going to look at the world through that lens of gratitude. I'm going to force myself to do it because sometimes I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like this morning, I did not want to be grateful. I got up, I went to the gym, and I got there, and the trainer looked at me and said, "How do you feel about leg day?" Let me tell you how I feel about leg day. I don't want to do leg day.
Yeah. But
it got the blood pumping. It got the juices moving in the brain differently. And all of a sudden, I'm having a fabulous day.
Yeah.
I'm rolling.
Yeah.
And I'm good to go.
Yeah. No, good for you. I love it. It's hard. It's hard sometimes. I mean, as Christians, we're called to be grateful, right? I mean, we're going to go through some scripture in this convo that shows all over the place, CTA, if you will, for us as Christians to be thankful and grateful to the Lord and thank him for all of his wonderful blessings. But as Christians, it's so hard. And yet we can see there's all kind of data, like scientific data from real scientists who talk about the positive effect of the deliberate practice of gratitude on mental health.
Yeah.
Right. So just not to get too technical, but gratitude helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Sorry, I couldn't get all those words. But I mean, this is, really, I mean, there's chemistry going on then, you know what I'm saying, in the brain. And it also helps quiet the amygdala. So the amygdala is it's like a little almond-shaped chunk in the middle of the brain, and it's the it's the fear, the emotion center. It's the, lots of fear, fight or flight, freeze, that whole stuff. All that kind of stuff is going on when you feel like it's amygdala firing up. And, there's, again, not want to get too technical, but tons of data that shows an amygdala that is constantly stimulated can lead to severe consequences, mental health, illness not being the least of them. So gratitude is a amygdala suppressant, and not that it suppresses it, but, it helps quiet it down, calm it down.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I did not know all that. That explains why, when your blood starts flowing and you start getting the juices going and all the brain chemistry starts going right, like with the gym, you're able to start seeing things differently. It's just, for me personally, I always struggle with doing that consistently, with finding ways to consistently choose to be grateful. I get that it changes my brain chemistry. I know that that's a good thing. I know that that's something that I want to have happen. But it's easier. So going back to the conversation from the other night with the vets, it's easier for us as Christians to say that we're persecuted constantly in the U.S. than it is to realize that we live in a country where we're allowed to have the freedom of religion, and we don't actually see what real persecution has looked like. Like, Bolshevik Russia saw what Christian persecution looked like.
Right. And millions of them were killed. Yeah.
Yeah. The Roman Empire saw persecution of Christians. We don't like that we get uncomfortable if we make the sign of the cross when we're in a restaurant.
Yeah.
That's not Christian persecution. That's me being uncomfortable to do that, right? So it's easier for us to look at it, to label it, and so many things, to your point, and feeds and all of that stuff push us in that direction, that learning how to see through that and actually adjust and choose gratitude becomes really hard.
Yeah.
So how do you do it?
That's the question. I was talking earlier about the parasympathetic nervous system. Now we're going to shift into the prefrontal medial cortex, which is what it sounds like. It's part of the brain in the front, hence
Prefrontal.
Yeah, I think that's where it is. I'm not a neuroscientist, by the way, but I'm fascinated by it. So I'm studying and learning, a lot. It's a great, interesting field. And the PFC is in charge of decision-making. It also deals with social cognition, and it deals with emotions, right? And so there's a lot happening there in the PFC. And no, PMC, prefrontal medial cortex. They call it the PFC. I think it may be referred to as the PFC. Anyways, the prefrontal medial cortex, PMC.
I don't know.
Anyways,
It's all Greek to me.
Yeah, I'm reading it, and the scientists use it as they do acronyms. I may have gotten it wrong. Anyways, we're talking about that part of the brain that deals with decision making, emotions, social, and all that kind of stuff. And what fascinated, gratitude triggers it, gets it rolling, and it hit me. And again, I'm just speculating. I am not a neuroscientist, have not been in a lab and done this research. I'm just studying as much as I can. But so I could be very wrong with the words that are about to come out my mouth. But here's my thought. The question I'm asking: if gratitude triggers the prefrontal medial cortex because it's decision making and gets it flowing, and also subsequently or simultaneously suppresses a lot of amygdala activity, meaning getting rid of that fear and anger and all that stuff that goes with it, we probably need to decide, like, it's got to be, I know this is a silly thing, but we have to make the conscious decision to be grateful. And we probably should do it quickly, right? So that it almost, like, if I can say it like this, the decision, I'm going to be grateful, has to be almost a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Like I always say, don't have knee-jerk reactions, but if you're going to have one, let it be a default into gratitude.
So the medial prefrontal cortex is what controls emotion. So much out there is pushing us into an emotional response to things. When our knee-jerk reaction is to follow those emotional responses, we're always going to default away from gratitude.
Yeah.
What you're saying is flip that. When you start to feel the emotional responses coming, decide I'm going to be grateful.
Yeah.
Decide I'm going to focus differently,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do it better.
Yeah. So the prefrontal medial cortex is not if I can say it like this, as I understand, in charge of emotions as much as emotional regulation.
Got it.
So in other words, I'm reading an interesting book now. I just started it this morning, but it's called Stop Letting Everything Affect You.
Okay.
And what was interesting was that his thesis, and again, I'm very early into the book, his thesis is that thoughts are really nothing. I mean, really, they aren't anything. There's something, they're, synaptic reactions going on in your brain. But most of the time, and I think this is where he's going, I haven't finished, but that the stimuli in life around us produce these thoughts, i.e. emotions, that then lead to our feelings or, actions and so on. And so if we can find a way to, in other words, we don't have to let those thoughts just run rampant. We have the power in the brain to choose how we will deal with those emotions. Now, here is another interesting thing, and I can't quote where I read it, but this one blew me away, that emotions are not feelings. They're very different. So an emotional response, let's just say fear, that is in some sense, a biological response to a hidden tiger in the bushes that I see that's coming after me. Well, you should react with fear because that monster wants to eat you. That emotion is there to give you, in that case, protection. But that emotion of fear can turn into feelings, which then, leads to all the rest of the stuff, like, am I going to flee from this tiger? Am I going to fight? Will I just stand here and, because I froze in the spot, all that kind of stuff. In a more, pertinent to our discussion kind of way, like when emotions happen, when people on the internet, let's talk about it, say snarky things, the emotion that comes first is, whatever a person may feel in response to someone's snarky commentary on the internet. And so it then can very quickly turn into that feeling of, well, he's a jerk and I need to get him back or I need to get her back and so on. What we're saying is that if we can somehow put a little buffer, a gap from that emotion into the feeling, which is ultimately going to lead us into the actions, right? Or non-actions. That's the key. And I think this is what gratitude has an opportunity to, be the guiding force in some sense. Let me end with this one. Let's just say somebody's on this particular post. I mean, because I've been talking about a lot of neuroscience, and I'm not an expert, as I've said a bunch of times. So I may have gotten something wrong. So let's just say we put this out there and somebody comments, what a dumb guy. He doesn't know neuroscience at all. Well, the emotion is going to be like sad or anger or whatever. Then all of a sudden the feeling comes, that guy's a jerk. And I'm gonna write back and, and cite my sources. And then all of a sudden I'm lost. But what if in that instant I decided to say, you know what? Maybe this person is right. Maybe I did make the mistake, but oh my gosh, how awesome and blessed am I that I have an opportunity in a country that we live in that's free, where I can go out publicly on the internet and throw my ideas and thoughts out there, and that we can have this conversation. That's a very different reaction to, I got to get him, right? Yeah. I could also say, you know what? I'm thankful that he caught my mistake, so that if I did make a mistake, I can go back and fix it, because I'm not interested in, what I think or you think or he. I want to get to the truth. So I make mistakes. I could be grateful for that. It's a very different reaction, but I have to decide to do that.
You're talking about a mindset shift.
Yeah.
You're talking about a whole new way of looking at the world that adjusts and changes everything. So with that Bible study the other night, we talked about Father Alexander Schmemann's Thanksgiving sermon. And so the year was 1983. He was, it was his last liturgy on, happened to be on Thanksgiving Day, and he died a few weeks later. He was battling cancer. Right. He knew it was coming, and he is one that never used to write down his sermons, and he pulled out a piece of paper at the end of liturgy and started reading these very short but very poignant remarks. And it began in a way that hits me. Everyone capable of thanksgiving is capable of salvation and eternal joy.
Everyone that is capable of thanksgiving is capable of it.
Salvation and eternal joy. That's fine. What hits me is the word capable.
Yeah.
Everyone capable of thanksgiving. Everyone is able to do it. Everyone has that in them, but not everyone chooses to exercise that. He then goes on with a litany of thank yous. Thank you, O Lord. Thank you, O Lord, which is what he ultimately titled that sermon, or at least it was titled posthumously. But it's this idea, everyone capable. You then have to do something with that capability.
Right.
You then have to go and choose in everything you're doing what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. You have to choose whether or not you're going to be grateful. You have to choose to shift that mindset. Paul talks about it in Colossians. Whatever you do in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have Romans, we do. Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may prove what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. In gratitude, when we then are able to actually transform and shift our mindset through gratitude and do that process, we're actually able to show and give glory to God through our actions by being grateful in a situation. Instead of being annoyed that this guy is commenting that you don't know what you're talking about neuroscience, I'm glad he's watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a shift.
Yeah.
Right? It's a shift in how we're able to do that, because who knows what's going to happen with that message that he hears someday.
Right.
Right? Like maybe something will change. Maybe something. That's not our business. That's something but thank God he's at least made that step.
Yeah, for sure, Deacon Greg, you're right. I mean, it is a deliberate choice and that we have to make. And I, if I can throw out some cheat notes, it might not be a bad thing to put, like, literally, I know they're going to laugh at me when I say this, our audience, but put sticky notes all over the place. Be grateful. Sometimes we just need reminders. I have sticky notes all over the place because my memory is terrible. So it's like I've got to remind myself, right? Even on my laptop, the Palm Pad, wherever you put it next, I put sticky notes with, key things I want to remember. So the big ones that I really am working on are right there because I touch my computer a lot. So I see it a lot. Stick it on the mirror. You know what I mean? Whatever you have to do. And it's a, why are you laughing?
I'm going to stick it on my kids' foreheads to remind me to be grateful when they're being annoyed.
That's so funny. Well, look.
But it's real.
It's a great point. Like, they are, especially at the age of your kids, they are such a blessing. They're so much fun, but they are a lot of work, right? I'm at a different point where mine are both out of the house now. And here's a way to look at it deliberately, with gratitude. So many people have come to us, my bride and I, we're empty nesters now. And it's been this first semester. I mean, this is the, first semester when they were both gone. And, people are gracious and sweet. Are you guys okay? Are you sad? And, my response is always no. I mean, like, of course I miss my children, but my bride and I, spent their entire lives raising them to be lions and go and conquer the world. And now both of them are out there doing it.
Yeah.
And rather than whine and complain about, I'm sad and lonely, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that all of the labor that we put in to raise those beautiful girls is bearing fruit. And I'm also so grateful that they are doing well, because now I see, joy and success and struggle and victory in their lives. You know what I mean?
I do.
But it's a deliberate mindset. So my response is always, I say to people what I just said, in less words, but we're excited for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome that they're out there doing it, and the little one just got home last night, and gosh, it was so awesome to see her, I was grateful for that. So, I mean, my point in all of it is it's a decision, and you write a sticky note or as a metaphor, whatever you use, tie a ring around or a string around your finger, whatever you do, put a reminder that says, today I will be grateful.
Yeah.
Today I will show gratitude. And then just start practicing it. Just start doing it. And if it may feel uncomfortable at first because your contrived response may not match your emotional feeling at that moment.
Yeah.
But boy, by controlling that contrived response of gratitude, will start to have a positive effect on that emotional feeling.
Yeah.
You start to see things.
You see things differently.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like you were saying with Romans 12, the transformation, the renewal of the mind,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Thundercats effect.
I'm not sure I know what you mean. I'm
You
afraid
don't.
where you're going.
Saturday mornings, my kids should sleep in. They don't. They wake up earlier than they do on school days. So I have two choices. I can be very annoyed, which I often am. But then I work hard at adjusting my response and looking at it as an opportunity to go hang out with them in the living room, put on Thundercats, and now it's a win-win. We're having fun. We're watching a TV show that I loved as a kid. I get to share that with my kids. They get to laugh, and it's just, they're fun moments, and an opportunity that is contrived.
Yeah.
Because it's me creating new memories with them so that I will have those memories later when they're older and they don't want to sit and watch the TV shows that I used to love in the 80s and all of those things that I know are coming.
Right.
But at the same time, it reorients the fact that it's 6 o'clock in the morning and they're awake and they should not be, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It seems to me that in that scenario, you have decided to lose the victim mentality.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's easy to say, oh my God, why are they doing this to me?
Yeah.
Well, I can guarantee you this, knowing both of your children, that they didn't wake up either of them and say, ooh, it's way early. Let's annoy our father.
Yeah.
Like their bodies woke up. They want to party and have a good time in life and go, either they're kids, they want to play and do the things. They want to be with their father. And, so it's like nobody was doing it to you. That's how it happened. And it's so easy. And so many of us do default to that victim mindset right away.
It's so easy to default to that victim mindset. Like I'm even laughing as you're saying neither of my kids woke up. Johnny might wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go mess with Baba now. But he, they're not doing that. They're kids. It's what they're doing. They're just excited to be alive. Let's be excited to be with them. Let's not be victims about the sense that like, oh my God, I want to sleep so much more rather than spend time with my kids. Like, really?
Yeah.
Really? I want to sleep more than I want to get to spend time with my children?
Yeah.
Like it's just like last night he came and he just sat on my lap and he just cuddled up in my arm. He's not going to do that for long.
Yeah.
He's not going to want to do that when he's, 13, which is good because he'll probably be very tall and I won't want him to sit on my lap at 13.
Yeah.
But like at this point, he just wants to hang out with his dad. Like I love it. And it's Thanksgiving and family's in town. It's not that any of this stuff is happening to me. They're just excited. Yeah. They know everyone's here. They want to spend time with everyone.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing. Like it's a good thing. Gratitude lets me see it as a good thing and stop seeing it as, oh my God, this is the worst thing that has ever happened to me.
Right. So the way you said that made me think about something that you and I have been working on. It's like in that, it's there. This is something important that people often overlook. And that it's in that mental shift that we're talking about to stop saying, why did this happen to me? And begin to say, this happened for me. Right. Yeah. So nothing happens to you. It happens for you. Now that's a radical mind shift. And, it really, this is where it starts to get interesting because that's a challenge to make that mind shift. Because what do you do when something bad happens to you? Like really bad, not like your kid woke up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. Like cancer, right? Yeah. God forbid. So in order to take I'm no longer a victim mindset in a situation as serious as cancer or something else similar, it's a radical shift. That's what it means to be crucifixional. And that's not something that the world's going to tell you to do. They're going to make you chase after comfort and ease. But what I am saying is that this is an opportunity, like God forbid, I know people out there have cancer. We know many of them. I wish nobody did. But let's just say for those that do, it's an opportunity with that and the knowledge of an impending mortality. Man, you have time to get it right. Yeah. It's time to repent, right? Where as someone like me who is, a sinful man running around thinking I'm going to live forever and God forbid something happens drastically and I haven't been living, and repenting and returning to God, Like, you know what I mean? It's an opportunity if you choose to see it, and you can be grateful for it. And yes, it's going to be physically terrible and hurt your family, and they're going to struggle. And yes, but it's a chance. It's a chance if you look at it as happening for you.
And you're never going to have that chance. You're never going to be able to seize that opportunity when the big things come if you don't take those opportunities in the small things.
Yeah.
If you don't build it up. If you don't wake up every day and recite the psalm, "This is the day which the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." If you don't start your day looking at it as a day that God has given you to do something, and now you get to rejoice in that, then you're always going to be stuck. And the Psalms are replete with this.
Yeah.
The Psalms are filled with ideas and ways to give thanks to God. It's probably why, spiritual fathers often recommend reading the Psalms one a day.
Yeah.
Because it reorients that mind, and it gives you those chances to see things differently. Like Psalm 136, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love." Sometimes you see mercy endures forever. "Oh, give thanks to the God of gods, to the Lord of lords."
Right.
I mean, it's this beautiful reorienting of giving thanks.
Yeah.
So that when the big things happen and the big things come, you've learned in the little things, because of that Thanksgiving, not to see them as a victim.
Yeah.
And now the big things, you're still not seeing them as a victim.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, forgive me for speaking about one of our teammates, but our Erin over here, I know she's off camera, but and I'm not just saying it to make you feel good, sweet girl, but it's a real thing. She's like, when you respond to a text and you just want them to know that you've acknowledged it, you give the thumbs up thing, or there's the 2 exclamations. She always hearts.
Yeah.
And in her, just listening to her language, her positive language all the time, it's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, that's her approach to life. And sometimes it's annoying because I'm like, I want to be angry. Why are you making me want to feel happy? But it's infectious. It's that idea that's infectious, and whether she does that deliberately or that's just second nature, I don't know. But either way, let's just hope for her sake it's second nature, that she's done it enough that's just the mind, her mind has shifted into that positive attitude where it's like, that's the other part of it, is like it can become infectious, because even when I'm grumpy and she hearts a text back, an acknowledgement heart, it makes me think, all right, I want to be angry right now, but I'm trying to have a gratitude attitude. And so she can, it's just a trigger for me. It's like the sticky note on the mirror or your kid's head,
Yeah.
I mean?
But what's interesting too is most people, when they send that heart, do it just to say that they've acknowledged the text and then be done with it. She hearts it because she means it, because she then still follows up with her thoughts when she's able to, right? She doesn't just heart it and leave it alone.
Right.
She hearts it and then gives you her thoughts on it. So she means that heart. She really is excited about everything. And it is infectious. There are days where I walk in and she's like, "Hi, Deacon Greg." And I'm like, "Hi."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "How's your day going?" I'm like, "My day's actually not bad." Like, why am I thinking that my day's bad? Like, I get to come to a beautiful place. I get to work with beautiful people.
Yeah.
I get to have a fabulous time. We get to do the things that we love to do.
Yeah.
So why am I grumpy?
Yeah. Well, sometimes we just default. We don't even ask ourselves. That's the whole point. Absolutely. You know what else is interesting? Kind of shifting a little bit. So, we were talking about these practical tools, put a sticky note everywhere, and then, get rid of that victim mindset and start to look at, deliberately look at things as for you, not to you. The other one that I preached on this before, it's a really interesting idea. I got it from 2 authors named Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And they wrote a book called 10X is Easier Than 2X. I love this book. It's just a lot of great insights in this book. But one of the things that they talk about, I think it's Sullivan's idea, is measure your life backwards. And what he basically means is that most of us, tend to measure against our ideals, right? So I want to be X, or my goal is to become Y. And those are beautiful, goal-oriented, hopefully, ideals. But his theory is, and I think he's right, that the ideal runs away from you as fast as you run towards it. He uses the metaphor of the horizon. Like, as you chase the horizon, you never get any closer because the horizon, because our earth is round, that it keeps moving away from you at the very same speed. And so that can be very discouraging when you start to say, well, I'm never going to be. Well, no, and you shouldn't be your ideal. Your ideal should ever be expanding, I think. But that's not how you should measure yourself, because that can be a difficult load to carry. But if you look at where you were 5 years ago in comparison to where you are today, and do that measurement, though it certainly is not yet attained the ideal and you are certainly not perfect, I bet you see some progress.
Without question.
And I bet that is a gratitude-inducing moment.
I can only imagine that to be a gratitude-inducing moment. When you look backwards and start to see things differently from that framework and from that shift, like, I mean, let's be clear. There's a book in Scripture that never gets read, Sirach. And in our preps for today, I pulled out a quote from Sirach because it's wisdom literature and it's getting into this stuff, just like the Psalms do. And it says, from the dead as from one who does not exist, thanksgiving has ceased. He who is alive and well sings the Lord's praises. We're alive.
Yeah. Look, go back to that verse. Read that again.
From the dead as from one who does not exist, thanksgiving has ceased. He who is alive and well sings the Lord's praises.
So listen to what he's saying. Now, again, this is English translation. We're going to do some work on Sirach. But I'm sorry I cut you off, but listen how powerful this is. From the dead, there's no praise, right? Well, obviously, because they're dead. They're in the ground. But he compares the dead to one who does not exist. And then the contrast is one who is alive sings praises. He is saying that those who are ungrateful, who have no gratitude attitude, they're the dead.
Being ungrateful is equated to death in that quote, without question. And when we measure our lives only looking forward, it's going to breed that ingratitude. When we recognize that we are alive and able to sing praises daily, looking back and seeing all the progress that we've made and having that gratitude develop, you're now on it.
Yeah.
You're in it.
Yeah.
And you're able to really start shifting, right? Like, I'm going to open up a little bit. I got sued a bunch of years ago. I moved and left the situation where that all happened. And my wife says to me every day, I'm glad you got sued, because it was something that was very heavy for me, very hard for me to deal with, but she flips it and she says, I'm glad you got sued, because if you never got sued, you might not have ever moved to Phoenix. And if you never moved to Phoenix, we might not ever have met, and then we wouldn't be married, and then we wouldn't have our children and all of these things, right? So it's like shifting. Even when we look back and see the progress that we've made and the things that maybe were difficult for us in the past,
right,
we now are able to look forward with gratitude that they happened, because they set our lives in a course that changes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to look at it. Absolutely. I mean, I know a little about that situation, and though it was stupid that you even had to deal with it because of the inappropriate nature of that lawsuit and all, whatever. But like you say, having gone through that was unjust and was terrible, but it got you your woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't say that crassly, but I mean, it got you here to meet the love of your life who gave you these beautiful children. Yeah. I mean, so that's a great way to look at it, because you can look forward and say, well, I'm not, perfect, but you can look back and say, holy cow, I was dealing with that,
Everything that I look back on that I think of as a horrible moment that at the time felt like it was the worst thing that had ever happened, because up to that point in my life, it was the worst thing that had ever happened. I now can look back and see that it was preparing me and giving me the skills that I'd need to deal with the next thing that was coming, that was going to be a heavier burden, that was going to be worse. Yeah. Right. And it set me on a path that has been a fabulous life and continues to get better.
Yeah. That whole line made me think of something else too. And for anyone who's interested, I mean, we go through this a lot in our 6-part battle plan on the Academy website. So I'm sure you'll throw it up there. But, here's a radical mind shift that we as warrior saints try to push out there on the world, is that suffering and struggle is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. And you should rejoice in that. Paul even says that we rejoice in our suffering. St. Paul in Romans 5, right? Like, in other words, because it leads to endurance, character, and hope does not disappoint. That's his line in chapter 5. But, you grow from those moments, right? Like, I mean, we all know that. Everybody knows that. There's so many trite cliches out there about it, but not everybody, can't say nobody, most people don't take it seriously. We just end up whining and complaining when we have struggles and sufferings. And I'm saying let's look at them more as, a blessing and joyful and receive them. You know what I mean? So that's a radical mind shift. And I'll stop yapping here, but I've learned to embrace my sufferings in my daily run.
Yeah.
I don't like it all the time, especially when it's cold. I mean, my cold here in Arizona is not like New York City. I understand that. But I mean, it gets cold for us, right? And our blood isn't used to it. And when I'm out there, like, it's not fun. Running hurts. I'm old and fat and slow and all that stuff, but I've learned that by going through that, I've seen all the positive changes. Like, I'm being silly, but my belt loop, I went one button tighter, one hole tighter, so in other words, I started trimmed down. My heart health, everyone knows I'm dealing with some heart issues and started to be a little bit better. My mental outlook, look, like after you have, they talk about the runner's high, right? So there are a bunch of beautiful chemicals in the brain that lead to that great feeling. Endorphins, norepinephrine, anandamide, this is an interesting one, dopamine, oxytocin, and I miss serotonin, right? So like when you're running or when you get in that state of flow, when you're really working, like where you kind of like lose track of time, all that, that's a dump of the cocktail of those chemicals, right? And you start to feel better. And when I suffer through my runs, the rest of the day, I'm happier. I feel better. No, not to be silly. My skin feels better. You know what I mean? Because I've sweat out all the funk that I've consumed in eating and drinking things, It's a huge thing. I can tell you this. There has not been one day in my life where I have regretted running.
Yeah.
Now, I have regretted not running, but I've never regretted it, right? Because something happens. And so all of that ramble, is simply to say that one of these radical mind shifts towards gratitude is to be, get out there and exercise, because it's a great way to start suffering. And I don't want anybody to hurt themselves or lift too much weight or, tear a MCL or ACL because they run. I'm not talking about that. I mean, obviously just get sweaty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a good thing, because as you go through whatever, pain you may feel in that exercise, it's an opportunity to start training, practicing the embracing of struggle and sacrifice in order to be grateful for them. Anyways.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to the Schmemann thing, to your point. Everyone talks about it and shares it around this time of year because it talks about Thanksgiving, and it's like, oh, Thanksgiving, blah, blah, blah. The heart of it hits me. And this is from a man knowing that he's at the end of his life. Thank you, O Lord, for the sufferings you bestowed upon us. They are purifying us from selfishness and reminding us of the one thing needed. It's a complete mental shift. Suffering, we don't know that we need to focus differently without the suffering. Yeah. We don't learn how to reshape things without suffering. We don't know how to see the world through that lens of gratitude without suffering, without the moments that are things that we would not think, let's be grateful for these. And in so doing, we then can reorient our minds to be grateful for those moments because they remind us what's needed. There was a big debate when I was at the seminary a few weeks ago. We kept talking about it in my youth ministry class. Kids in church, when they're loud and they're distracting, and what do you do? And a friend of mine said something to me over the summer that has struck me and stuck with me. We need kids in church that are loud. Not because it shows us that we have an alive church and all of those things, which it does do, but because kids distracting us from worship during church remind us that we want to pray. It's a complete mental shift. It's a complete reorientation of the way we approach things. Sufferings do the same thing. Yeah. And as we're trying to adopt a gratitude attitude, we have to start looking at all of these things in ways that are counterintuitive.
Yeah.
because then they give us the opportunities to see them as blessings, giving us new and exciting ways to do things, leaving that victimhood behind.
Yeah.
Putting on those new glasses, those new ways to see things, because we're having all of these different reminders out there that this is an opportunity for something different.
Yeah.
And then we just build the habit and go with it.
Yeah. I mean, I do love that, you know. I mean, what, I don't know what exact word you said, but something triggered. I mean, what most people don't realize, or at least many people may not realize, that all of our teaching, you know, as warrior saints, what we're trying to share with the world through our academy and, you know, just in our relentless efforts is, it's counterintuitive. It's countercultural. It's against the grain of what everything and everyone else is, you know, throwing out there. It's not normal in the sense of just be normal. I don't want to be normal. I want to be exceptional, you know? And so it's an opportunity for someone out there, all of you, that, like, if you really want to become something exceptional, really, truly a leader, a thoughtful, a strong, an inspirational leader, you know, one who inspires others. I mean, you've got to start thinking differently. It's, you know, it's like the masses, right? I mean, everybody's following the bell cow, you know, and the one who makes the most noise, the bell cow's the one they put a bell around its neck, and all the rest of the cows follow it. But what they don't know is that cow's going to the slaughterhouse, right? Like, I mean, we've got to be different, think different, and approach things in a completely radically new way. We would say crucifixional, meaning a Christ-like way, which is the way of the cross, you know, not the way of joy and happy. It's joy, but, you know, I mean, but if we continue, in other words, just don't follow the bell cow. Let's get out there and be the one cow. Even if you're alone, you're going the other way. And here's the thing. They're not alone. Any one person that wants to do that, we're together. And our community of warrior saints is definitely growing. Thanks be to God for all things. I mean, it's growing, and there is opportunity for people, whether they follow us on the socials, watch these pods, or even better, join the academy. I mean, start learning and studying this stuff. You know, there are profound changes that the gospel of Jesus Christ can make in our lives, ultimately unto becoming strong, thoughtful, independent, inspirational, crucifixional leaders. Anyways, it was good stuff today. I appreciate it. I went on that. What's that?
Fabulous.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, I just wanted to throw that out there. So, like, for our crew out there, I mean, look, if you are looking for a community of other people who are trying to be different and want to be, you know, strong leaders in their own realms, whether it's in a career or in a home or just in your own life, you know, we spend all of our time, you know, teaching how to do that from a Christ-centered biblical perspective. So we encourage you, invite you, join us. You know, the warriorsaints.org, the website's up there. You can see it. Subscribe to the academy. I mean, it's what many of you may not understand is that it is, you know, it's transformational, not because of us for sure, but because of the power of the gospel. All right. Love you. We'll be back. Orthros Liturgy 9 and 10 as usual. Have a great one. Blessed Thanksgiving to those. If you're watching this before, have a good one tomorrow. If you're watching it after, hope it was a good one. Either way, we are thankful for you and all of your support. God bless you. God keep you. And as always, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.